How's your bracket? Mine is pretty much already resigned to kindling at this point. But the good news is we've got our version of March Madness coming to you all weekend long, and things are just getting started here at the Baseball Village. I'm Cory McCartney. We've got a 14U pool play game for you between Coastal Terror Squad and Nelson Baseball School. We're eyeing around 10 a.m. first pitch on this one. I'll be joined along the way by Memphis Tigers' Julian Henson as well as Jack McCartney. Now, so many of the players that you're going to see today, their high school careers await, but our fields have been the host to so many who have taken their high school careers and turned it into playing at the next level. Dane Moeller is among those who have started on these fields. Previously was at Walton, 6'4", also appeared in the feature games for Georgia. He's now playing for Clemson. I got a chance to drive to Doug Kingsmore, catch up with the big right-hander, and talk about his days here at LakePoint Sports and his debut for Clemson after a year wait due to injury. Here at Clemson's Doug Kingsmore Stadium with Tigers redshirt freshman right-hander Dane Moeller, Walton product,
yes,
a guy who made the most of his time at LakePoint Sports on his way to the ACC. Dane, man, it's great to see you again.
Yes, sir. It's nice seeing you.
We had you showing out in Walton uniform in our field, 6'4", a Georgia uniform for the feature games. What did those games and those experiences at competition level mean to you as a developing player?
You know, it was awesome. I cherish every moment. It was just going out there competing with my best friends. I look back on those times and realize, like, I got to compete against, in Georgia, the highest level of athletes. Futures games was big, but I got to do it alongside my best friends. So I look back, and that meant the world to me.
All right, I want to dial it back. I'm going to show you a video. Hit back the archives here. This is the 2022 Georgia Dugout Club. You in an outing against Ola, 4 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 hit, no walks. What do you remember in particular about this performance?
That was my sophomore year. I remember it vividly. It was. I look back at that sometimes nowadays, but I remember that was the first outing. Like, I actually had some of my stuff ticked up, and I realized that I could have a pretty good year and see where it goes from there. That was, I remember that vividly.
So coming out of that one, Prep Baseball Georgia scouts said that you were a guy to watch that year. You were in for a big spring, a big summer. That ends up with you in the feature games a couple months later, that Clemson commitment. How crucial was that time period en route to you being here as a Tiger?
Oh, it was huge. I think during that time, I know the rules have changed, but during that time when y'all did such a great job of getting my name out there, like all the prep sports, all that just like helped me out so much, and it just got a lot of publicity and got a lot of just notice from other schools. So it kind of really trending upwards in my recruiting, elevated my recruiting, and it just got me. It's got me where I am today.
The debut here, it took a little bit longer than you anticipated, missing last year due to injury. You get out there against LaSalle, the first 2 strikeouts of your Clemson career. What did that moment mean to you?
It meant a lot to me. You know, the last 12 months have been a battle. There's some days I didn't think I would be on the bump again. Some days I just questioned if I was going to have my stuff again. But getting out there, it felt like home, felt like where I belong. So it kind of meant the world to me.
Your story now has some adversity to it. If you could go back to the Dane Moeller from that video I showed you, what would you tell him about what lies ahead and maybe getting caught up in things at the time that felt like a big deal but maybe weren't?
I'd say just take it day by day and hang in there. It's like there's going to have great days. You're going to have good days and bad days, and it's just you got to remain level. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. So I think just understand that the game gives and it takes, and just be ready for it all.
Well, Dane, listen, man, I appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much.
Great opportunity to be a part of your baseball journey.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
And I guess I lied to you a little bit. Our action got started a little bit sooner than anticipated, a couple minutes before 10 a.m. That's because the Memphis Tigers got themselves a 15-0 win over Nelson Baseball School in the game before this. So this game getting rolling a little bit sooner than anticipated. So our action now currently underway. Currently have McClure on the mound right now for Coastal Terror Squad, facing off against Burkhart. I will be joined here in just a few minutes by Julian Henson from Memphis Tigers. Again, mentioned his team getting a real big win to start things off. Jacob McClure is currently on the mound right now, as I mentioned, for Coastal Terror Squad. Already got himself a strikeout. That one is pushed foul by Burkhart. McClure from Detroit Country Day coming all the way down here. Hope he's on spring break, because that would be one quick turnaround for a weekend event here at the Baseball Village. But got a fastball on 76.4. Looks like that's where the 5'9", 145-pound right-hander's already sitting. Burkhart puts that in play down the right side. First base has it, flips to McGlure, and that's out number 2. So Rhodey Burkhart, maybe the coolest first name we've had on these fields to start our spring season, grounds out for the second out. That'll bring up Mason Pulley. Pulley Mount Perrin 2029, 5th prep baseball event for this right-hander, 5'8", 155-pounder. Digs in, big bat wiggle at the top there. Another one down the right side. Gotta love a game getting started a couple minutes early. I'm also joined by Jack McCartney, who's on the 1s and the 2s in the back. Jack, you gotta love a game that gets started a couple minutes early. That means everything's a event that's rolling ahead of schedule at LakePoint is a beautiful thing.
It is a most beautiful thing. That is a rare sighting for any tournament ever.
Was excited when I saw McGlure was a late add to this Coastal Terror Squad roster, a Michigan Rising Stars ID appearance earlier this month. And he gets himself an inning-ending strikeout, and I think this is a name we're going to have to circle all game long. Jacob McGlure bringing it here early on for Coastal Terror Squad. It's their chance when they come to the bat. The bottom of this inning, we'll be back from LakePoint Sports.
At IHG's Holiday Inn Express, you can take on Miami, Mexico City, or Minneapolis. Fuel up with free hot breakfast, all while earning points for free nights with IHG One Rewards. Guest how you guessed at IHG Hotels and Resorts.
Cory McCartney now joined by Memphis Tigers Julian Henson. Man, Julian, great to see you again.
Hey, man, good to see you, brother. Thanks for having me.
So your guys 15-0 winners over this Nelson Baseball School group in the game before this. Just an absolute power display from your guys. You had 2 3-run home runs in that one. Lawson Ford, Hawkins Spangenberg. How excited were you to see your guys come out as hot as they did this morning?
Well, I think it kind of really started for us Thursday. We had 2 days of practice, and I told those guys just in preparation, because it's all about the process in which you go about achieving an objective, right? So I told our guys to make sure that because we're from Memphis, we lose an hour coming all the way across.
Yeah.
That it's going to feel like it's going to be 5:45 Eastern or Central Standard Time for us. So in preparation for that, I told those guys to make sure that they text me Thursday and Friday at anywhere between 5 a.m. and 5:15, just to make sure that they were, kind of used to getting up. I didn't say they had to go run 10 miles or anything, but just be up, be awake, and be ready to go, because if you're locked in, we can do some pretty special things.
Well, excited to see you guys a little bit later on. You'll have another game at noon. Currently, again, got Nelson Baseball School and Coastal Terror Squad going at it right now. Going to see Sweet lead things off here for the Coastal Terror Squad. He's going to be followed in the order by, where are we at? He'll have Titus Russell behind him on the on-deck circle. That one is popped sky high. Second base camps underneath it. Right fielder calls him off, and that's out number 1. So when you have this group, and we have so many guys that are just making that transition into 14U when we get to this time of the year. Guys aren't used to the depth of the field. So when you have infielders that are tracking back to make that play, maybe they're not used to where the outfielders are going to be. How do you guys deal with that?
I think the biggest thing is all about communication there, right? So, proper pop-up communication, things that we work on. Understanding that everybody's, getting after it to be able to get to that ball as best they can. And if you hear the outfielder, then we're supposed to peel We've got the off outfielder making sure they're slicing behind just in case we miss it. So I think it's a trust factor, and always communicating with those guys on that. But the size of the field is a big deal for some of those guys. They're still in 8th grade, so they've got middle school games throughout the week, and they're playing 54, 80 or whatever. So just really getting out there, and when you have those 2 practice days, making sure your situational stuff is really there.
I know when I was coaching and the guys moved to these size fields, the double relays, that was a huge, just the concept of that was such a big foreign thing to them.
The double cut for those guys, right? Because most of these guys that get to this level have really strong arms, and they're playing on the shorter field, so they just rip it in there.
Yep.
But it's spacing, right? Knowing where you're at on the field, understanding in that tandem, the 2-man, that we should have somewhere between 10 to 12 feet, just in case of another overthrow. The trail guys got it. Just in case an in-between hop, the trail guys got it. But between that, understanding what the outfielder's arms are, so you don't kind of get out there way too far, and then the outfielder's making a 40-foot throw instead of anywhere between that 90 to 120.
Got Carson Durand on the mound right now for Nelson Baseball School out of Harrison 2029. Misses high there, and he's going to draw a walk for Titus Russell out of Smith County High School in Tennessee. I mentioned this to you when you sat down. We had a starting pitcher in this Coastal Terror Squad team from Michigan. They've got players from Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. Fun for your guys when you get to look at a roster and see guys who are from all over coming in one of these almost regional teams.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I guess you'd almost call them national, right? Michigan's nowhere close to anything that we're doing.
That is very true.
But it is fun to be able to look on the roster and kind of see where everybody is and the different flows of baseball, because everybody does things a little bit different. But at the end of the day, it's just all about being who you are and trying to compete and slow everything down. So it's nice to be able to see such a colorful roster like that.
Hard hit ball there from Woods Festmeyer from Tennessee. So that's going to have runners at the corners here for Coastal.
Woods is a good player. Good player. I've seen Woods play a couple times over the last couple of years.
Now they'll bring up Witten Percy from Walton. First base, third base. Walton defending state champs here in Georgia. Duran misses on the off speed. Saw on your Instagram you got to go to the World Baseball Classic.
Oh my! I'm telling anybody that's listening to this, I've been to a World Series game. I've been to playoff games, regular season big league games, College World Series games. But there's something truly special about international baseball. Right, I know we're pretty privileged here to be able to have all these nice things, parks like this. But when you've got people from other countries that aren't as fortunate as us, cheering their team on pitch to pitch, it was almost like a World Cup game or something like that.
Very cool.
Very, very, very fun experience. I went to the Mexico versus U.S. game, and it was a home field advantage for Team Mexico. It was about 85-15. It was me, my wife. Shout out to my wife for being able to get those tickets for us. But 85-15, and those guys were, they had their international chants and all that stuff going, and then all of a sudden Paul Skeen strolls out there listening. His walkout song's the main song from Top Gun, and then all of a sudden the first pitch was about at 100, and it got real quiet in there. So it was an unbelievable experience. Anybody that has a chance to go, I know that kind of falls on that spring break time for folks in Tennessee. Please take your ball player there. He's going to fall in love with the game. It helped me fall in love with the game, and I'm in it 365. 24/7, so great experience.
We just saw Witten Percy come through with the RBI single, got Coastal Terror Squad on the board here, leading 1-0 in the bottom of the first. If you're Nelson Baseball School at this point, trying to find a way to stop the bleeding after losing 15-1, did they turn a double play? He, in fact, did some nice infield work, limits the damage. Coastal Terror Squad has a 1-0 lead. We'll be back. You're watching March Madness from LakePoint Sports.
first one I picked up, I just liked it the best. And like I said, I tried a lot of different companies, a lot of different models, and I fell in love with Old Hickory for sure.
The Windscreen Factory, more than just windscreen. We're a full-service sports facility contractor. We manufacture windscreen for sports and construction, do fence repair and installation, and fabricate field netting and batting cages. In addition to manufacturing the products, we also install upon request. We make safety padding for backstops, rails, and walls, as well as full-service print shop with logo, branding, and signage capabilities. Please call us for a quote today.
Welcome back. McGlure back on the mound. Duran, the starting pitcher for Nelson Baseball School, puts that in the left field, got themselves a hit to start things off here in the second. When you saw this Nelson team that first game, we experienced this last week. We had a run rule for the team that ended up being part of our game of the day. They came back and got a real tight win that second one. When you've seen a team struggle like this Nelson team did against you guys, what do you watch for early in that second game from a team like that?
It's a bounce back, right? Like, are we in the strike zone? Are we competing at a high level? You know, have the coaches been able to communicate on what issues that they were, and are we looking to be able to battle back? I mean, obviously an 8 a.m. start's not ideal, but you've got to be able to get prepared. And you know, if you drop the first one, understanding how the bracket's set up, we've got to be able to put our best foot forward and come back with a little bit more energy and see where that takes us.
Yeah, and especially when you're talking about a run rule loss. I mean, you start playing around with run differential. That's never going to be in your favor unless you can really get started.
It's got to be tough. Game. And you know, the guy that just got the base hit, he was a really tough at bat. You know what I mean? And to see him up there and still having quality swings and piecing the ball up the middle, and you know, obviously worrying about the run differential. You want to try to keep it in, you know, 1 to 3 here in their situation to be able to give themselves a good shot, and having runners at first and second with no outs is pretty good here. I'm interested to see what they do here. They're going to try to bunt, or you know, are they going to keep swinging away here?
That was Andrew Lee. So back-to-back singles here for Nelson, and they now turn things over to Caleb Schwartz, North Paulding 2029.
It's difficult here, right? So these guys are from all over the place. Like, do they have a bunt coverage here, or are we just winging it?
It pops it way foul. And that's something you and I remember talking about last year. When you have those kids that kind of have that camaraderie and they've come up together, as opposed to these regional/national teams, there's always those questions about do they understand the intricacies of being with each other, and could be a big moment here if they do get that bunt down.
That's right. If the second baseman decides to cover or not, we don't know. He should, but he looks like he's in double play depth. So if he bunts this ball down the first baseline, he's probably going to get a base hit out of it.
A 1 count here is Schwartz. Misses inside. Caleb Schwartz, North Paulding 2029. North Paulding has popped up to number 7 in Prep Baseball's national high school ranking. So a team that really kind of, at least here in Georgia, came out of nowhere. Goes right back to that spot, gets it that time.
It's a tough pitch here, but, you know, especially with that guy trying to hopefully move some runners and maybe thinking about going backside. Good job on the pitching side to be able to pitch in. Going back in there one more time.
1-2 count to Schwartz. Ropes that one. Third base has it. Gathers, throws to first, but a run does score, trading it out for a run, and trail runner will advance to third. So another runner in scoring position, but we've got a tie ball game.
There we go. I mean, that's just good baseball, right? Like, you got guys at second and third there, and being able to sacrifice yourself for the good of the team. See if we can run it back one more time. Pull side ground ball, get it done. I'm not quite sure. I can't see the infielders if they're in or not.
This is Gavin Knox, Harrison 2030. See if he can keep building on this momentum. Swings through that.
Change up? No, 71's a heater. That was a great arm side run there.
We got McGlure with a fastball around 76. He does have that changeup, 68 to 71. Got a 1-1 count. Now it's 1-1. I was the scoreboard's like 5 seconds ahead because that's in real time and these AI cameras trail. So tell you when we get our new studio, everything will be of the moment. But
problem solved.
That's right. The 1-1.
That'll do it.
Ropes that. That is driven well into center field. Runner tags up, takes off for home, and just like that, Nelson Baseball School playing small ball, and they've got themselves a 2-1 lead here in the second.
I mean, just to answer your question right there, it's like, hey, man, these guys come back, they get some early runners on with no outs, and then they do exactly what they're supposed to do and try to drive those guys in. That's a great response after this morning.
Griffin Martin Campbell, 2030, now steps in, 5th prep baseball event for him.
Isn't it awesome to kind of in this 14, obviously the field size is one thing, but then the differential between the size of the bodies, you know what I mean? So it's like, we were shaking hands earlier, we've got blessed to be able to have a player that's 6'6" on our team, right? And going through and seeing guys that are 6'6" and seeing guys that are 5'4", obviously everybody hits their growth spurt at different times, but that's something else to be able to pay attention to, especially in that 14, 13-year-old age group.
Yeah, there's a 6'2", 205-pounder on this Coastal Terror Squad team, so that could be a tight end. Then you got some 5'1" players in this Nelson Baseball School team. Martin at the plate is 5'5".
Well, the thing about the smaller players, like, hey, man, like everybody has a role on the team. Can you know who you are and do what you can do to the best of your abilities? Don't ever try to go outside of that. Then you're trying to play, if you're 5'5", then you're trying to play someone's game that's 6'6", right? That doesn't play. So it's important for those guys. I'm not a very tall guy in stature, but I knew who I was and I knew what I could do, and let me just be really good at that and never try to really step outside of my skin and just play my ball game.
Yeah, whether or not McGlure struggled with the strike zone because of a smaller player, now he's going to a guy who's 5'1" in Grayson Parrish, so swing straight through in the inside pitch.
I love how he's not afraid to be able to stick a fastball on the inside half to anybody, both sides of the plate.
When you were catching and you had guys, and obviously the changes in stature, how did that change the setup for you?
It's one of those things, like also knowing their arsenal, right? Like you've got guys that kind of like to stay with the heater at the top of the zone. I might not be as big of a crouch. If we've got guys that are smaller that like to sink the ball, then obviously I'm a little bit more chest over and trying to really dominate the bottom of the zone with my glove work. So it really kind of differs on the pitch arsenal as long as the size and what they're trying to do, which kind of alters the setup as well. I'll tell you one thing that I'd like to see more out of the amateur player is not losing posture on pitches in, right? Like that ball was in, we're jumping out of the way, which obviously as soon as you do that, he goes back outside because he's reading your posture. That pitch that is on the corner looks like it's 5 feet away, right? So those amateur players need to be able to keep their posture and their chest over the plate and realizing the hit by pitch is still on base.
2-2 count. This is high. The throw to second is going to be late.
It's a good ball by the catcher.
But that's that's just getting over that fear, right? Because I think when the velo starts to tick up, guys get a little more skittish.
Well, it's like, with us in our organization, we don't have, like, batting average is evil for us, right? We leave batting average. I will never talk about hits. I'll never talk about batting average. The biggest stat that people like me pay attention to is, OPS, and we're really trying to track as many quality at-bats as possible, right? We've got guys that have a really high batting average that are hitting at the bottom of the lineup because their at-bats aren't as consistent as the guys at the top, right? So the older that they get, the coaches that they're playing for are feeding their families based off of, consistency. So if you're a guy that's not going to give us a consistent AB, then we've got to push you back in the lineup. And it also helps those guys deal with failure as well, right? We had, I think Lawson Ford struck out, right? But he got to an 0-2 count early, but he saw 4 pitches afterwards, which is a quality at bat, right? So now he can run out to first base or wherever he's playing and feel confident because he knows, like, hey, man, I just got a quality at bat. I'm still in our Quab King chase. I can get a sticker at the end of the day. So talking quality at bat more so than hits.
Well, then he hits a 3-run home run.
That too, right? So, it's special player, big athlete. So kudos to him. But at the end of the day, hunting those quality at bats will lead to all of those things, all of his intangibles, home runs, doubles, all of that stuff. So it's really about the mindset and not allowing those guys to go up and down with all of that, and allowing them to kind of stay a little bit more even keel with all of their bats.
So you talk about batting average being a bad word around the program, for lack of a better term. When we start fixating on metrics for guys with this age, what metric matters to you when we're talking about, guys get psyched about their 60 time and their exit velo or their velo on the mound? What matters to a coach for developing players?
I think putting my recruiting coordinator hat back on, right?
Yeah.
I think obviously 60 times important for a certain position. It's all situational, right? I think bat speed's very, very important, right? So how long can I wait before I have to make a decision and still square the ball up back through the middle of the field? I also think the exit velocity is a big deal, right? The situationally around hitting, right? So those numbers jump off the page early to be able to grab a college coach's attention, and then from there they get the deep dive into things, right? It's like some things you can't teach, right? Like being huge, but at the end of the day, can you move the pole fast? Do your feet work really, really well? Do we have arm strength across the field? So all of those things are going to grab their attention, but then when they show up and see you play, they're going to deep dive into those intangibles, which makes people different, because I'm sure these guys are getting, I know for a fact because I've been on the phone with them, are getting tired of having to recruit their guys every single year.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure,
if we've got hard-nosed dudes that believe in a program and want to be able to work hard for what they've got, that's someone that they don't have to worry about for the next year. So that's very important. So deep diving into that, those things jump off the page, and then after that, they can kind of dig into those intangibles that they all need.
It's interesting to me talking to so many kids at showcases that are like, I'm not a show, like my game translates better in game than it does in a showcase.
Well, that's important to be able to talk to their organizational leaders, or if they have an advisor, for them to say, hey man, guess what? You're 5'8", 155 pounds, but you have a ton of game, right? You're not big enough, you're not strong enough, you're not fast enough to be able to showcase any tools.
Yeah.
Right? Because those numbers aren't going to jump. You're just going to get lost in the numbers, right? But if you're a guy that has tremendous game, you need, someone that is your advisor or someone that's at the top of your organization to be able to pick up a school that you have interest in and say, hey, man, look, I understand that these numbers aren't going to jump off your page, but you need to go watch this guy play, and he'll change your mind.
I've had many coaches tell me, don't go to a showcase until you have something to showcase.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it's easy, with all of everybody putting all the numbers out all the time. It's like, hey, man, am I in the middle to upper half of this, or if I'm towards the bottom half? But it's also, making sure you're moving to a program that has a little bit more holistic, a holistic feel to things. Obviously, winning ball games is really, really fun and it's really, really attractive. But at the end of the day, can I go get a strength and conditioning plan? Can I go get skill work? Right? Can we have an arm program? Right? If you've got a spot like that can do all three, you're in the right place.
Carson Duran gets a strikeout of Aiden Baez to start off the inning.
Duran's a good player, man. Both sides of the ball.
Trying to answer here after watching Nelson take a 2-1 lead in the top half of this inning. So we go from Baez to Patrick Melton. Mentioned Melton standing 6'2", 205 pounds.
I think it's also important for these guys, too, to make sure that it's like, hey, man, like bigger field. Also, our bats just changed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, hey, man, like let's get in the strike zone and see what these guys got before we decide to start nibbling a little bit too much, right? Like 6'2", first pitch he gets is a breaking ball, right? Like, I get it. I'm a little bit more old school. Big, long guy, long levers. Guess what? He likes the ball out over the plate. Let's run one in and see what he can do, and if he can keep it fair, right? And then we can kind of work backwards from there.
Well, Melton, that's got a 2-0 count here. Duran taking his time on this one. Misses high, now 3-0 here to Melton, who was at Rising Stars ID in Raleigh earlier this month, homeschooled player out of North Carolina.
There's been a lot of those homeschool guys kind of pop up over a little bit here, with some
well, it feels like post-COVID, and they'll do like the virtual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep, that's becoming really popular. Now he ropes that 94.6 off his bat as well over top of the center fielder's head. Going to have him on the run. Melton making his way to second. Is he going to hold there?
Double cuts way.
He's on his way to third.
Too big.
Patrick Melton got himself a triple.
Big man rolling.
Yeah, he sure is. And Coastal Terror Squad in business here as they try to answer this Nelson 2-1 lead.
Well, that's what happens, right? Like we tried to nibble early with the breaking ball. right? And then we're afraid to just really attack. But then all of a sudden he gets to a 3-0 count. Now the big man's like, all right, here we go. We got to. He's getting ready to come for me then. But the smart play there, if you get 3-0, why not just flip another breaking ball in there and get him off count, off speed?
You mentioned creating that line there on that relay when the shortstop goes that deep. How
really
frustrating
deep.
is that?
It's really frustrating. I think the Nelson guys per roster were a little bit closer together. It's frustrating to see how far he went out, right? And then the second baseman was super late. As soon as that ball goes in the gap, the first baseman is the trail guy right there. So second base is covered. Now we're worried about, hey, our depth from the outfielders, our depth from the tandem, and are we lined up? Hopefully the trail guy's peeking back so he doesn't have to rely on the third baseman to be able to really tell him what's going on there.
Jackson Coakley sends that one to right field.
He's out.
He's taken off. The throw is going to be too short. Gets away from him. We are all tied up. Had everything set up there. And I bet Patrick Melton is getting a lot of opportunities to run that far around the bases. Yeah,
he's probably a little winded. Tough part about that was a shallow kind of pop-up right there, and our outfielder was kind of camped under it and didn't really work behind it and threw it to be able to give him enough, right? So that was the difference right there. He kind of threw that ball flat-footed. Instead of working downhill, that would have gave him an extra skip right there, a little bit more velocity. He's probably out.
This is Knox Tollison from Station Camp, Tennessee, 2030. 2 outs, but we are all tied up at 2-2.
Called it down.
That's the catcher in you talking.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I can't even deny that, not even a little bit.
1-0 count now to Tollison. See how Durand responds.
It's a good pitch.
Yeah, good pitch inside. I'll even up now at 1-1.
It's a good ball game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you watch a team in Nelson have happen what happened at the hands of your guys, and you wonder how are they going to come out. And I think for them to fight like this early is saying a lot about this crew, and we'll see what they've got in store as this one rolls along.
I like their coaches. They got 2 coaches over there that were working hard throughout the ball game, no matter what the scoreboard was. They're young guys. It's always good to have young guys because they can kind of relate to the players a little bit more, and these guys obviously have the respect of the players because they're playing hard.
2-1 count now. If Tollison gets on, Knight will follow. It's now 3-1. Durand taking some time here, gathering himself between pitches.
And that just shows how comfortable he is, right? Taking a deep breath, walk around, making sure we got the right pitch here.
Have you guys started using PitchCom yet?
We have not. Obviously used it when we were in college.
Well, that one is driven well and high. Left fielder camps underneath it. That will bring it in.
No.
He dropped it. Yeah, he drops that ball. Was an inning-ending out in his glove. Tollison makes his way to second. Got an error now and another runner in scoring position for Coastal Terror Squad.
It's really tough. The center fielder's like 12 feet from that, you know? You really want your center fielder to kind of command the outfield and really be kind of greedy with what he goes after. Obviously, you can kind of see with their setup, their baseline extended. Baseline extended is pretty much where you take third base and second base, and then the right fielder's in line with that. You take first base and second base, and the left fielder's in line with that. So with that setup, I mean, with that ball right there, the center fielder's got full reign to be able to get in there and go get it, which obviously they're wishing that happened.
This will be Ethan Knight, now a runner at second, out of Fred T. Ford, North Carolina, 2029.
How many states is that?
5?
5.
5 different states. Yeah, states on this Coastal Terror Squad team. Michigan, the only one that's not, there's nothing coastal about Michigan.
You're right about that.
Lake Erie's got a coast.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Durand got a 1-1 count here against Knight. Got a runner at second via the air.
I think it's really important, right, as we can kind of see here from the view that we have, that there's got to be some kind of system for our middle infielders to be able to to tell the pitcher whether how many looks, this, that, and the other, especially with 2 outs, because you're trying to hold the guy on tight. But then all of a sudden, we saw both guys show up in the screen. Both guys showing up in the screen, that means there's a ton of holes. And then obviously, they're probably going to wheel him here with 2 outs. So being able to allow those second basemen still on second base while the pitch is being thrown. So we've got to be able to make sure that those guys are getting back into position. So, obviously those things like that kind of take time and people do it a little bit different. But in my point of view, that's a very, very big deal to be able to make sure guys are in position to be able to make the play. If you're out of position, then, just normal ground ball just gets through there.
There's a ground ball to third. He gathers through. That's well high, but drops down, and that's going to bring an end to it. But we are tied up 2-2. And we also, by the way, now, thanks to the work of Jack McCartney, have our Windscreen Factory starting lineups for this one. So we're going to you a little bit late, but it always happens when we have a team playing a back-to-back. Well, Jack, let's go ahead and bring up those Windscreen Factory starting lineups. There they are. Nelson Baseball School led off by Ezra Hewitt, the extra hitter, Rhodey Burkhart, center fielder, Mason Pulley, the first baseman, Carson Durand, who we've seen on the mound, then Andrew Lee, the catcher, Caleb Schwartz, the shortstop, Gavin Knox, the extra hitter, Griffin Martin, right fielder, Grayson Parrish, the left fielder, Joshua Suarez, the second baseman, and hitting 11th is Jackson Pintos, the third baseman. Coastal Hair squad were led off by Jacob Sweet Jr., the center fielder, then it's Titus Russell, the second baseman, Woods Fessmeyer, the shortstop, Whitten Percy, third base, Luke Rolfs, the extra hitter, Aiden Baez, the left fielder, then Patrick Melton, the first baseman, Jackson Coakley playing right field, hitting 8th, hitting 9th is Knox Tollison, the catcher, hitting 10th, Ethan Knight, the extra hitter, hitting 11th, Charlie Briller, the right fielder, and finally Jacob Miglor, the pitcher, hitting 12th.
I like how early on, they're pushing their lineups to 11 and 12, being able to kind of get those guys in the mix. I'm sure on the Coastal side, like he's trying to see some of these guys play for the first time, right? So he's willing to kind of sacrifice, some at bats for the guys at the top to be able to mix it in. So I congratulate those guys and applaud those guys for being able to see that.
Do you approach the lineup for pool play and bracket play differently? Do you bat 11, 12 during pool play, but then reel it in and just go 9 during bracket?
I try to keep away from 12. We are a competitive baseball program.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So especially with these guys at 14 next year, they're in the fire. What I mean? They're going to high school, so they've got to really kind of figure out what it's like to be able to fight through some things. Obviously, when we're getting into bracket play, things kind of get broken down, and had conversations about why someone gets left off or whatever it is. You've got to, for me, communication is the biggest thing. So I want to make sure that if a player has an issue, they feel like comfortable enough to be able to have a conversation, right? And I chart things and make sure, I'm like, hey man, this is the why, right? So, you always want to. The thing that makes a lot of people successful is being able to fight through a little bit of adversity, right? So, adversity, and making sure that, hey, just because I didn't play in this game, or if I'm batting 11th this game, doesn't mean that a game from now that could flip with my effort. So that's the thing that we've got to be able to protect, because when you get to the upper levels and you get into more talented rooms, that separator are those intangibles. Can I work through this? Can I strike out looking in my first at bat and then turn around and do something productive for the team? Like, number one, play defense. You hate to see players take their bats to the field, right? Because then you're not reliable. You know what I mean? It takes time and money from a lot of people, especially traveling 6 hours away. If we're not able to do our job on the mental side, not necessarily the physical mistakes are going to happen, but if you can't do your job on the mental side, that's going to make it really, really hard for a coach to be able to trust you and put you out there. So, people do it different. People are at different levels of competitiveness, and I respect that. But at the end of the day, on our side of things, it's charted. Everybody has communication on why. Everybody feels comfortable enough to ask why. That's a big deal too, because you want to teach your player to be able to communicate with his high school coach. Now, hopefully, the high school coach doesn't, say like, "Why is this kid asking me why he's not doing? He's my player." I hope that doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, it could. But you want those guys to feel confident enough to be able to ask the question, which should be based around, "Hey, coach, what can I do better
there you go.
to be able to get onto the field?" Right? Not, why am I not playing?
Exactly.
That's the wrong way to go about it. But if they can, stand on their own 2 feet and ask that credible question, and hopefully the coach has got an answer for it, and that relationship gets a little bit stronger because of that.
That was Joshua Suarez that went down on strikes here with McGlure out for another inning. Currently looking at Jackson Pintos, last hitter in the order for Nelson. Pintos, another North Paulding 2029, 5th prep baseball event for him.
But going back to the accountability piece here, right? This year, it's the first time I've ever done it, and I've coached some really good players. You know, Mookie Betts, Austin Riley, Jake Mangum, just some absolute studs. This is the first year that I've actually given out a captain award, right? So we've got a captaincy on Hawkins Spankenberg, and obviously he's a very talented player, but he's got the secret sauce, man. He's a leader, right? He communicates, and then now, you know, we've set standards for what we do, right? And our accountability system. I stole this from Coach Matlock at UTRGV down in Texas, and it's LOEs, man, like lack of effort, and that's not only lack of effort physically, but like on the mental side of things too. So it's like, you know, we've got lack of efforts, and that system holds them to a standard. And, you know, we also look for one of our players to be able to lead that charge, because they're only going to be able to hear so many long-winded talks after the game from me that land home. And then after that, they've got to look at each other and remind themselves of the goals that they set before the year. And are we doing everything possible to be able to set ourselves up to be able to do that? And if we're not, that's a problem, right? And just like I said, hearing that from a teammate, a captain that understands that he can't abuse this power is very strong stuff. So our team has taken another level, and you know, just the mental maturity of knowing what it's going to be like to be able to play at a high level in high school and hopefully beyond it.
Back-to-back strikeouts as Pintos goes down on strikes too, and that hit him?
No, we got out of the way of it. And that's tough. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we're trying to win a ball game here, and I know no one likes to get hit. I get it. Have I dodged pitches? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, that's not the best play for us.
This is the leadoff hitter, Ezra Hewitt, Mount Perrin 2030. He's got a 1-1 count now after that miss from McGlure. Another miss makes it 2-1. So you mentioned having a captain. Did you have the idea of, I want to have a captain, or did Hawkins lead you to say we need to have a captain?
I wanted to have one, but obviously if there's no one that is responsible enough for that, you can't do it, right? Then you're just running around in a circle there. So, you know, I wanted to have two, and then, you know, through the fall, I had that conversation with them in August, right? We went through the whole fall, and then, you know, before each season starts, we have a Tiger spring training. So we went through spring training, and I told them at the end of spring training I would be able to award a captain. And the way he shows up for practice, the way he leads, I'll tell you this, he was playing first base, got a weird ball to kind of pick and ward off the face, went lip, nose, and, you know, we're gushing blood all over the place. He took 2 pitches off to try to get the bleeding to stop. It didn't. Put his first baseman's mitt back out there and absolutely got after it. And then guess what happens after that? We've got people diving for balls in practice. Not just in game, in practice. So they're practicing hard. He's setting the standard, and everybody knows that, you know, this is who we are. This is who we are and how we're going to go about it. And we're going to be a tough baseball team. So thankful to be able to have Hawk and his leadership. He's a joy. You know, he's a big-sized kid with a lot of tools. So I'm excited to see how his journey continues after the next 3 years.
2-out walk there for Hewitt, and that'll bring up Rhodey Burkhart, Calhoun 2029. Gets away from his catcher. Holds it second, so now runner in scoring position. So a walk and a pass ball, and all of a sudden, Nelson Baseball School's threatening here with 2 outs in the third.
Tell you what, he had a good at bat. He lined the ball into the gap. Thankful for you know, having an athletic outfielder. It would have been extra bases. So this is a big spot in the game.
Nice move back from McGlure, but runner is safe.
That shows a lot about this club, though, right? If you can call a back pick, right? And I don't know if those two know each other or not, but if you can call a back pick and you've got people from all over the place, that's good. That's good organization.
And a pitcher from Michigan and
there he goes. Look,
shortstop from Tennessee and drops it down.
Got to send him.
Taking off.
Oh, that's easy.
Yep, ball gets away from the outfielder, and now we've got a 3-2 lead for Nelson Baseball School.
I'm telling you, you know, you see, everybody tries to do their homework before playing a team. And, you look at some guys and you're like, hey, man, I know the record's not what they want it to be, but it looks like they have pieces. And, just like I said, what was that? How did he get on? Did he walk?
Yep.
2-out walk. Devastating. Pass ball, base hit from a good hitter. And then there you go.
Burkhart comes through with the RBI, and Nelson's up 3-2. Burkhart taking off for second.
They're putting pressure on these guys now.
Bounces in front of the shortstop, and he will be safe. So with Burkhart at second, this is Mason Pulley, Mount Perrin 2029. Burkhart getting himself a good lead.
Ooh. It was a good take by the batter, actually, right there. Obviously, his front hip starting to open up. He's trying to get after something here with 2 outs. So that's impressive to be able to see him hunting right now. And a good take also. That was a pretty nasty bender right there.
McClure struck out the first 2 batters of the inning. Then that walk and the pass ball opened things up for Burkhart to come through and put Nelson on top. So an inning that looked like it was completely in McClure's hands all of a sudden turns on its head, and Nelson's got themselves a lead.
2-out blues are tough, man. The pitcher's mowing everybody down, then all of a sudden he lets up just for a little bit. It's really tough at this age to be able to kind of turn things on and off.
Well, he's got strikeout number 6, but his team's trailing. Nelson Baseball School up 3-2 when we come back from LakePoint Sports.
First one I picked up, I just liked it the best. And like I said, I tried a lot of different companies, a lot of different models, and I fell in love with Old Hickory for sure.
At IHG's Holiday Inn Express, you can take on Miami, Mexico City, or Minneapolis. Fuel up with free hot breakfast, all while earning points for free nights with IHG One Rewards. Guest how you guessed at IHG Hotels and Resorts.
This is our brand. It's chips. Subs, of course. Soda. This. That. Sweets. Smiling faces. Green. More green. Ice cream. But first, veggies. How about a meal for one? Or hummus is fun. Time for cleanup? Done. All this goodness. Your life, your brand. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Conversation there. Shu grounds out to start things off for Coastal Terror Squad. This will bring up Jacob McClure, who's in on the mound for CTS. Durand back on the mound for Nelson, now leading 3-2. Should be a good AB here.
Important to try to get this leadoff guy back on, especially after going down here. So just like I said, these guys are kind of trading punches back and forth, and very good, very important for the pitcher to be able to establish the strike zone early so we don't have any free passes.
And we saw Shu ground out, so now a 2-0 count here to McClure. It'll be Sweet Jr. in the on-deck circle.
It's also important management-wise here. You're at the bottom of the third. I'm not quite sure what their roster looks like, right? If you've got a guy that might start running out of gas, you can't let it blow up. You got to try to be a little bit more proactive on the coaching side of things.
83.8 off his bat. That one is driven into the outfield. Our camera's not cooperating here.
It looks like we got a catch, huh?
It. Yeah, saw Blue with the call there. So now 2 down as McGlure with the long, loud out, and that'll bring up Jacob Sweet Jr. So, Jack, you had a question you wanted to drop in on Julian?
So, first off, I want to talk about when you look at these two pitchers, they're an inch apart in height, but one of them is 190 and the other one's 145. When you have guys who are growing because they're 14 years old, this is when all that stuff starts going on. How do you help them stay accurate and also adjust to how their body's changing into the fact that they're going to gain velocity, they're going to gain height, they're going to gain all these things that are going to help them with their mechanics? But how do you keep them to stay accurate and not fly all over the place when it comes to long at-bats or long innings?
I think it's systematic, right? So, like, there's times of the year where you're supposed to concentrate on building your engine, which is the winter, right? So you get in the winter, you've got a velo program, and, you're doing your plyos and you're doing all of this to be able to build that engine to be able to go out there and throw hard, right? But then when you get into the ball game time of year, spring, fall, whatever it is, it's understanding no one cares how hard you throw ball for, right? So during the season, we've got to focus on 61% strikes. Let's get in the zone. Let's understand when it's a good time for us to be able to gamble and plus and add to our fastball, and understanding when it's a good time to be smart and throw a breaking ball if we've got a base open. So I think it's really systematic for those guys and understanding, hey, this is the time of year to get after it, right? And when you get into the springtime, you don't want to take away from their aggressiveness because that can be an intangible that's different than somebody else, but we have to understand that we have to have stuff, right? Stuff that we can get swing and misses with in the zone, right? Because at the end of the day, the higher that you go up in levels, you should see the pitches that these guys take, and they know that they're balls, right? The biggest transition from that guy going from high school to college is that ball and a half off the plate that umpires force people to swing at. The guys at those levels are going to say, hey, ball, and that guy's going to go, oh, man, this guy's got to throw it in the zone. I'm pretty good in the zone. So understanding that you have to having stuff is important, but having stuff and being able to get swing and misses and create contact in the zone is the most important thing. So to answer your question again, systematically, timing-wise, are you with an org that says, hey, this is when we do this, and this is the now focus throughout the season?
I mean, I like how you bring up I don't care how fast you throw a ball for, because the Nationals put it in their spring training bullpen during the spring training. And I like the fact that it doesn't matter how old you are or how well you are or how anything like that. It really doesn't matter how hard you throw. As long as you have your stuff, you're going to get it.
Absolutely. You can kind of see on some of these college rosters now, you'll see the guy that's kind of 83 to 84 with the sub release that's kind of in and out of the zone a little bit. So, people are realizing that outs are really, 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 really important, especially those coaches that are on the hot seat year in and year out, right? So if I got a bunch of dudes that don't throw any strikes and the umpires have the zone that they should have, then that's trouble for you. You can't even defend that. Right? So you can't defend the walk. So understanding when you're walking a ton of people, no matter how hard you throw, your defense gets on its heels, the communication is down, and the 3 innings feels like 9. Uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah, Carson Durant, 86.1 off his bat. That's dropping into the left field corner.
Come on, big fella.
Durant making his way to second. Is he going to hold there? He,
in fact,
man,
good player.
Yeah,
good
Carson
player.
Durant showing out in the mound, now showing out of the plate. Got himself a leadoff double here for Nelson, already up here in the top of the 4th.
I love the way this guy plays the game, man. I know this is the second game. He had to get up at 6 a.m., right? Played third base, I'm pretty sure, the whole day. I had a conversation with him while I was over there on the bag. Good kid, throwing his heart out, hustling out of the box. I mean, it's a good player.
Give way to Andrew Lee now with the courtesy runner, Luke Thaxton, taking over at second.
I'd love to see right here. I'd love to see, another bunt. You know what I mean? Like, on the roster, you might be outmanned a little bit. You're up right now. Like, let's go ahead and put ourselves in a good spot. Now, again, I don't know where they're at in their lineup. So this might be a guy that you have swing away, but it's always good to be able to put a little extra pressure on those when you've got a run to mess with.
Lee pops it up. First base has it, 1 down. I'll give us another look at Caleb Schwartz. When you were playing, could you have imagined ever swinging a pink bat?
No. Mother's Day, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I could see, venturing out on that. But pink is obviously you can see this guy over here wearing pink. Pink's it's a hot baseball color right now.
It sure is.
But at the end of the day, like I try to change with the times, and if that is going to make you feel good enough to do your best and give your best effort, as long as it's not too wild, let's get in it. You know what I mean?
You guys
I'm
have
with you on
uniforms that would look weird pink, I think.
Our pitcher today, Landon Williams, had bubblegum pink shoes on today.
There you go.
But he was in the zone. Yeah, he was in the zone today. So whatever he's got to do to be able to do the job, man, go for it. Now, if I joke with you every now and again, I mean, that's on you for putting them on. But, if that helps you do what you're supposed to do, let's roll with it. I'm okay with it.
1-1 count here is Schwartz.
If you could have a player's weekend bat, what would you have on it?
Oh, there you go. That's a good.
I'm sorry, say it again.
How the players' weekend, so that they can do whatever they want to the bats. Some
Oh,
guys have
yeah,
almost like a
yeah.
fish tank in it and all kinds of crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
man. I'm a huge fan of my city, which is Memphis, and just who we are, how we go about it, the big culture mix. So I don't know, it might be like a skyline, you know what I mean, with something awesome on it like that, just to let everybody know that, Memphis is the most important thing to me, obviously, besides family. And I love my town. I love the people in it, and try to represent them the best I can.
So like Gibson guitar logo.
Yeah, it could be
you
got the Memphis Bridge, you got the Bass Pro, the Pyramid.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Elvis.
Yeah,
we actually, so we had we have a media day shoot, bringing out our new uniforms. We got some all black uniforms this year. We went with a gold this year, which looks pretty slick. Graceland, which is where Elvis lived, they actually allowed us to be able to go on site and do our photo shoot.
Awesome.
Oh man, it was awesome, and it was my first time actually going to Graceland, and this lady's trying to show us where we could and couldn't go, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, she's like a mile and a half down. She's like, Mr. Henson, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I've been stuck looking at 87 of Elvis's jumpsuits over here. This is crazy.
Big TCB logo. With the
Absolutely,
bolt.
taking care of business.
That's
So
right.
I love my city and all the famous people that are from there. It's just a great melting pot town, man. It's fantastic.
They even had the car there.
Oh,
That's cool.
Oh yeah, they got cars.
Yeah.
They've got both of his planes.
Wow.
So the amount of stuff that Elvis has in the short time that he lived is incredible. Like I couldn't have imagined having that much stuff. That you could have multiple properties and just to be able to show it all off.
Got Gavin Knox at the plate now for Nelson. 2-0 count to him. Runner at second.
Pass ball.
Yeah, it sure does. Oh, runner.
Oh,
Man.
whoa.
Daxton going to get back. Thought better of it. He had his chance. Did not take it. 3-0 count now. So we've seen a couple pass balls now for Coastal. Does that come down to maybe a pitcher you're not familiar with and what his breaking stuff's like? And
It could be. Maybe that's the first time they've met each other. He threw, 15 to 25 pitches in the bullpen. Not really quite sure what it's going to do. Obviously, he's running out of gas a little bit, so now his stuff's not what it used to. So what's his stuff look like when he runs out of gas? I'd love to be able to see him in more of a traditional secondary without that information, but he could know him. I'm not quite sure. But I'd love to see him in a little bit more athletic position back there to be able to make sure we can get some stops.
3-0 count now to Knox. Is to be followed by Griffin Martin.
Oof.
A little more interest in Thaxton now at second.
Tough pitch.
Yeah, it's in first strike. Borderline, but it's strike number 1.
That's a great take right there, right? All the pressure's obviously on the pitcher here.
Yep.
He's still got to come to you here, so don't feel like you got to chase. Is he getting on the mound like in the windup and having to step off 2 times?
Sure looks like it.
Not
That
enough.
one is skied. Second base on the run. Shortstop, who's got it?
Oh,
Second base
no.
gets away from him.
The guy at first is infield fly.
Okay.
Yeah,
yep.
first and second there, we got infield fly.
All right, so runners at first and second. Two outs.
Right here are the infielders communicating on short route, right? He can hit the ball anywhere, but you've got multiple outlets to be able to get outs. Are you guys communicating with each other enough to be able to do so? It was a good job by the catcher right there, but it was a ball.
We're getting all kinds of strays here from other fields.
We got some action while we were out there too on what was that, field 10?
Yeah, that's tough. Like there's no way to prepare for that, guys. You know, everyone's ready. The pitcher's zoned in, and all of a sudden, ball bounces in. You gotta be ready for anything. 1-0 count here to Martin. Another miss high. I think we're starting to see McGlure run out of gas a little bit here in the 4th.
He is, and he's also not really mixing up his looks anymore, right?
71.
I think he's gone one look multiple times. I think that's a pinch runner for Duran, number 6 there. So really love for him to be able to kind of pay attention. There's another one look, right? It'd be second and third right now. Obviously, it's 2 outs, so you're waiting on a hit. So is the risk worth the reward there? I don't know. But just like I said, you're up. Stay on the gas. Keep putting pressure on these guys.
Count is 3-0.
Another one look. Uh-oh. And then if we're running, you never know, right?
Yep.
So, but yes, again, being proactive. We've already taken a visit. I'm sure the player was like, "Hey, coach, I got it." And is that the coach knowing the player? I don't know the situation, right? But knowing who someone is and you kind of being able to read some body language can kind of keep you out of some trouble there.
Well, with Grayson Parrish coming to the plate, we're going to have a pitching change for Coastal Terror Squad. We'll tell you about that new arm when we come back from LakePoint Sports.
This is our brand. It's chips. Subs, of course. Soda. This. That. Sweets. Smiling faces. Green. More green. Ice cream. But first, veggies. How about a meal for one? Or hummus is fun. Time for cleanup? Done. All this goodness. Your life, your brand. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
At IHG's Holiday Inn Express, you can take
At this Coastal Terror Squad team, what have you seen from them that maybe gives you some confidence for you guys? What maybe alarms you at this point from what you've seen from their lineup?
Well, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to tell right now. It's their first game, and some people are slow starters, some people are fast starters. But at the end of the day, they've got some guys in the lineup. I've seen some extra base hits that can really slug. I haven't really seen too much on the defensive end on some of those balls that are kind of hit out this way. I don't think I've seen them field a ground ball actually. So it's really tough to kind of tell what they're going to be able to do on the defensive side of the ball. But obviously, it's a nice lineup. It seems fairly balanced. It's going to be a pretty good ball game. I think it's going to be a pretty good ball game.
Parrish now at the plate, and he's facing a new pitcher. This is Charlie Briller from Sequoia 2030, 12th prep baseball event for him. We got him with a fastball around 75. Curveball works 64 to 66, and he goes inside the 74.2 for strike 1.
It's always interesting to me, when these guys get to LakePoint, after they throw a pitch, how many times do they peek up at that scoreboard like, hey, man, am I feeling as good as I think I am or not?
Yep. Goes right back to that same spot now, 0-2 to Grayson Parrish. Not afraid to work in against this lefty.
I love it. He came right out of the pen, giving his best effort through the middle of the field here, getting after it. So I think that's fantastic on the reliever.
3 pitches, 3 strikes, and we're out of the inning. Grayson Parrish goes down on strikes. A nice start there for Charlie Briller. 3-2 is the Nelson Baseball School lead when we come back from March Madness.
Backed by over 100 years of engine design and manufacturing and a highly skilled dealer network. Yanmar. Yanmar Tractors. Quality. Hardworking. Reliability. Leave no job unfinished. Yanmar. Visit us at www.yanmartractor.com or see your local dealer for details.
At IHG's Holiday Inn Express, you can take on Miami, Mexico City, or Minneapolis. Fuel up with free hot breakfast, all while earning points for free nights with IHG One Rewards. Guest how you guessed at IHG Hotels and Resorts.
We are back. Durand is back on the mound for Nelson Baseball School. It's just 1 strikeout so far, but he's done a really good job of limiting much damage at all from this Coastal Terror Squad team. He's given up 3 hits, 1 walk, but been backed by some pretty decent defense behind him. See if he can continue to hold on to this lead as we sit here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Name of the game's outs, right? So he's out there in the zone, not really walking a ton, creating weak contact. But I'm very interested to kind of see what the plan is for Nelson here. You know, first sign of trouble, or they're going to look to move, or they're going to ride with their guy. Obviously, he's their guy, which I mean, he's a great player. But I'm interested just on the strategic side of thing, on the coaching side of thing. What's their plan?
You mentioned changing plans. Do you think, and we have no idea what their idea was pitching-wise going into this game. You think after losing that first game, they said we're going Durant game 2? I
think that would be I think there's 14. Or is there 16 teams in this event and only 12 make it?
Exactly.
So I think, this is your first bracket play game right here, right? So let's go ahead and put our best effort forward with our guy and line this thing up and fight to see another day. I've made the mistake of trying to play it safe to be able to set things up for down the road. And that sometimes goes really well, but man, does it really hurt when you've got your best arm that hadn't thrown a pitch, and we're driving back home 6 hours. It's terrible.
Yeah, former Braves manager Brian Snickeros used to tell me, "I worry about tomorrow," but it's a little different when tomorrow is 2 hours from now.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. There's a Hall of Fame coach that passed away recently, Phil Clark, and I think he's like one of the most winningest high school coaches like in the country. And I asked Coach Clark one time, I was like, "Coach, how'd you win all those ball games?" And he looked at me, he goes, "Julian, best available every time." I said,
there you go.
That's the secret sauce right there.
Yep. This is Titus Russell at the plate. He's got a 1-2 count. He's being followed by Woods Fessmeyer. I think we're seeing Durand go a little bit more off speed than he was early on. You think maybe just losing a little bit of gas on that fastball, so you back off a little bit and see if you can go with the secondary?
He's probably trying to dial it back down a little bit and understand that, like, I've got to stay in the zone, right? And he's trying to go long, and I can see that, right? Smart play by him. If I take a little bit off, I can stay in this ball game a little bit longer. So good on him to have enough feel to be able to do that. Some people just run until you run out of gas. 2 totally different types of pitchers from the reliever that Coastal just brought in. Obviously, he's max effort, right? You can see his body parts are going all over the place as he's in the zone, and Durand's just a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, more on the pitching side, trying to get to the nibble at the corners, which was that his second strikeout of the game?
Yeah, strikeout number 2.
What's worth it? Is it worth going 3 innings and having 5 strikeouts, or is it worth going 6 innings and having 3 strikeouts and 2 hits?
This is Woods Fessmeyer. Well, in his case, his team needs him to stick around as long as he can, and so far he's got them into the bottom of the 4th with a 1-run lead. Fessmeyer out of Tennessee, 8th prep baseball event for him. Second base outfielder, 2030. Durand, a little bit of a bigger body player at 2029. I'm always interested when a guy, how much taller is he going to get? But the fact that he's filled out a little bit at this point, I think that gives guys maybe a little bit more ability to work with different stuff, because the velo is, I think, at a different point than it will be for a guy who's maybe 6'2", 160 pounds, and you wonder what's that going to look like when he puts on weight.
That's right. It's one of those things. Also, when I was when I was still in college, the college game, I would if I was going to look and watch a player, I would also peek around the corner to see if I could see his parents.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? So that matters too. So being able to see if I could kind of forecast some projection off of that, which can you really? Not really, but if you come from big people, more than likely you're going to be big.
Aren't you glad you don't have to do that recruiting stuff anymore?
Oh, man, you know what? I miss being in the rat race every day. You know what I mean? It's just,
but now it's so different. Like now the fact that you would have to basically, as you mentioned, you have to recruit your team.
Yeah, like how am I supposed to be there and here all at the same time? So being able to stay at home a little bit more with my family. We just had a baby girl 6 months ago, so I'm enjoying the time at home. Obviously, we're still really busy, but it's a family business for us. We're all here this weekend, so we're having a good time.
That's great. Durant misses, counts now 2-2. Yeah, I don't know how some of these college coaches do it now. It's got to it's probably taken whatever free time they had. It doesn't exist anymore, because now you're just trying to smooth egos and keep everybody happy around you.
That's right. You're either single or you have an unbelievable wife that gets it. So shout out to all those wives out there. It's a good piece by
Fessmeyer's second time in this AB that he goes 80+ off his bat. One goes foul, one goes into the right field glove, and that'll be an out, and that'll return us to, where are we at in the order? For Whit and Percy. So one down for Percy, the Walton 2029, 6'2", 225 pounds.
It's a big body. And, that's one thing. Like, I'm blessed to be able to have a kind of large roster, with kids from 5'11" to 6'6". And, number one, I ask kids this all the time. Do you actually watch baseball? And they're like, oh, not really. I'm like, what? Like, how are you supposed to understand what it's supposed to do, or how you're supposed to go about it if you never watch it? But I ask my kids to watch it, and I'll ask them to watch it for a specific reason. Because they do not have to get any bigger to be successful at the college level because of the size of them. So now we're working on the intangibles, the accountability piece. How do we go about it? What are our standards to be able to prep those guys? Because now they need the mental side of it. The physical side, I'm assuming if they don't get any bigger, they will get more physical and stronger over the next few years. So just really trying to bleed that onto those guys, and the mental side is the biggest thing. That's the secret sauce. So, but yeah.
Well, absolutely great stuff, Julian. I know you got to run. You guys got a game coming up against Coastal Terror Squad. Best of luck, man. I appreciate it. Thanks
you
so
having
much.
Me. Yes, sir.
We're going to take a quick break here in studio. We'll come back with more from March Madness.
At IHG's Holiday Inn Express, you can take on Miami, Mexico City, or Minneapolis. Fuel up with free hot breakfast, all while earning points for free nights with IHG One Rewards. Guest how you guessed at IHG Hotels and Resorts.
This is our brand. It's chips. Subs, of course. Soda. This. That. Sweets. Smiling faces. Green. More green. Ice cream. But first, veggies. How about a meal for one? Or hummus is fun. Time for cleanup? Done. All this goodness. Your life, your brand. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
First one I picked up, I just liked it the best. And like I said, I tried a lot of different companies, a lot of different models, and I fell in love with Old Hickory for sure.
With you, we're going off camera now as I'm in the studio all by myself now. Nice, it's lonely in here, but I got Jack McCartney back in the production booth, and thank Julian Henson for stopping by as long as he did. I know he's got a game to go get ready for, as his Memphis Tigers got a date with Coastal Terror Squad in the 12 p.m. slot here in March Madness. We're now looking at Joshua Suarez leading things off for Nelson Baseball School. He's to be followed by Jackson Pintos. Then we're to the top of the order again with Ezra Hewitt. So, Jack, great stuff there from Julian. I always love his perspective, a guy that was a Seattle Mariners draft pick, and I've had him in here so many times, and that's a strikeout from Briller to start things off here in the fifth. Had him in studio so many times, I always forget to kind of dial it back to his pro days, but was a guy that worked with Eric O'Flaherty when they were in the Mariners system, caught Doug Fister, guy that spent a long time in the majors, so a guy that has a lot to impart on his players, and just a really knowledgeable guy about because of his time with the Memphis Tigers as a recruiting coordinator, the actual Memphis Tigers, not the travel version. He just is a guy who gets it on so many levels and just brings such a wealth of knowledge.
I mean, especially with the time he had as a recruiter and the time he spent in the Mariners and Astros system.
Yeah.
It definitely gives a different perspective because neither one of us were draft picks. I mean, neither one of us spent time as a assistant coach of a D1 baseball team. So his kind of perspective and all the things he's done over the years has definitely helped with, having the knowledge and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you always hate to say, because I think it paints people, paints some people around youth baseball in a bad light, but I think you talk about guys who are in it for the right reasons, and I always think of Julian Henson as somebody who is in this for the right reasons. This is Jackson Pintos, North Paulding, 2029, now at the plate. Didn't necessarily get into this a lot with Julian because he lives in Tennessee, but 3 players on their way to North Paulding on this Nelson Baseball School lineup, and that is a team that feels like kind of came out of nowhere to now be the number 7 team in the nation in prep baseball's national rankings, number 1 now in prep baseball, Georgia's Power 25. We really got excited to start things off this year. Another strikeout for that's going to be a walk for Briller. I think Briller thought he had the K, but he issues a walk there with 1 out. We got really excited about Etowah for good reason. We got really excited about Blessed Trinity for good reason. They're now both looking up at North Paulding, which is extremely surprising as we said here near the end of March.
Yeah, I mean, both schools, Etowah and North Paulding, both have 3 losses on the season.
Yeah.
Funny enough, at least one of their losses are to each other. Etowah has losses to they have 2 losses to North Paulding, and they have a loss to IMG when they were down in Richmond Hill. And then North Paulding also has 3 losses, 1 to Blessed Trinity, 1 to Etowah, and they lost actually their last game against Marietta. But I mean, we witnessed Blessed Trinity, we witnessed all those different schools at GDC. I mean, we are definitely seeing teams that we weren't expecting to be so highly ranked this year.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to see Etowah here in a couple weeks. Battle for Bartow will be here April 9th and 10th. We'll have Etowah will be here, McEachram will be here, Stony Brook coming down from New York, Carrollton. So we're going to see a lot of guys who are going to be talked about at the MLB draft both this year and next year. So if you're able to come out and watch some really high-level high school baseball, you'll be able to do so during the Battle for Bartow. But this Nelson Baseball School, beyond the players who are tied as future North Paulding players, they also have 1 Pickens player, which is the number 9 team in Georgia. They have 1 Hillgrove player, which is number 16 in the state, and 5 Harrison players, which is now number 19. So this Nelson Baseball School roster that we're looking at right now could end up have integral parts to a number of teams that position themselves in powers in the state this year and beyond. So certainly some names to watch. And right now we've got Ezra Hewitt out of Mount Perrin, which has long been a power, multiple state titles for the Eagles, and maybe Hewitt ends up being a future star for them. He's at 2030. He's got a chance right now to try to build on this 1-run lead for Nelson Baseball School as we sit here in the top of the 5th inning. Still got about a half an hour of gameplay potentially remaining. Do we get through 7 innings, or do we get timed out? What's the odds right now that we make it through 7?
I mean, probably pretty high.
I think I like the chances.
Unless Coastal has a long inning.
Yeah. Well, I think better chance if Nelson was the home team. Coastal's the home team. So if we do go to that point, we're playing a full set of 7 instead of 6.5. So full count here. Hewitt is going to draw a walk. Back-to-back walks now for Briller, who started off red hot with some strikeouts. And actually, I'm tying this on Briller. We actually did have a pitching change for Coastal Terror squad, so all apologies there. No, this is still Charlie Briller. I think they actually changed it on the scoreboard. They actually thought it was 14, Ethan Knight, so someone transposed their numbers. But we still got Charlie Briller, number 41, on the mound. But he has issued back-to-back walks after recording 2 strikeouts. So 2 walks, 2 strikeouts now for Briller. In 2/3 of an inning, came on with 1 out remaining in the 4th. Rody Burkhart at the plate. Burkhart puts that in play. Second base has it. Throws the second for 1 out. The throw to first is going to be way late in one of those instances where maybe the guy's so late you hold on to the ball and potentially avoid some catastrophe, but first baseman able to hold on to that. But we do have runners at the corners now as Burkhart's now standing at first. I'm going to bring up Mason Pulley. Pulley Mount Perrin 2029, 5th prep baseball event for this 855-pounder. Pulley with that little bat wiggle. See if he can capitalize. Runners at the corners with 2 outs. Nelson looking for some insurance. Did he go? He, in fact, did go. Love that late call there on the check swing. That was it loses the mask and then does it. Putting some English on it here on a Saturday morning in Emerson, Georgia. And by the way, I got to go do basketball after this. I've not even brought this up because with Julian, runner taking off for second. I get to do the Norcross Heat and the Atlanta Timberwolves from the Rise Hoops warm-up. That game's going to be at 2:50 today. So Mike Cyprian and I are going to be on that one and go from having Julian here, who former Mariners draft pick guy, spent some years in the minors and working with a number of guys who made it onto the majors, and recruiting coordinator for Memphis Tigers. Cyprian, we got a lot to talk about today because he played in the NCAA tournament in 2005 with Southeastern Louisiana. So Southland Conference champions. They were a number 15 seed. They lost to Oklahoma State, but going to be really excited. It's funny, like this is March Madness. This is what we're watching right now, March Madness. But we're going to go do basketball, and I actually get to talk about the quote-unquote real March Madness with the guy who played in the real March Madness. So it's a meta kind of day here at LakePoint Sports as I get to do baseball and basketball broadcasts. 1-2 count now. Pulley watches ball 2, all even up. Runners now at second and third as Burkhart stole second. Kind of defensive indifference as he took that bag. Oh, goes nice secondary, but I think if the catcher holds on to that, is that a strike? Maybe. Nonetheless, counts now full. Do we get 3 straight walks from Briller? If so, maybe time for a conversation on the mound for the Coastal Terror squad. And he does, in fact, so 3 straight walks issued by the Terror squad, and that is now going to turn us to Carson Durant, who has really just been the man here for Nelson Baseball School. Durant is 2 for 2, has yet to drive in a run, has scored 1 run. He's also pitched 4 innings, allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. And he could not ask for a better opportunity here to pad his lead should he come out for the 6th inning, or the bottom of the 5th. Briller's got him 1-1. Because I was just forecasting, right? It was 1-0, and I just Nostradamus that strike, so counts now 1-1. Carson Durand, can he deliver? Another miss. Counts 2-1. Strikes have been hard to come by for Coastal Terror squad here in this 5th inning. I just noticed this. I think that the pitcher is wearing a 5-star hat.
Yeah, not many of these Coastal Star guys are actually wearing their own hat, like wearing the Coastal Stars hat.
Yeah, well, maybe, he is wearing a 5-star hat. Maybe Coastal Terror Squad doesn't have as many hats, but they had the jerseys.
Well, they actually watched them hand out jerseys.
Okay,
So
there you go.
I think they...
Did you stand in line and try to see if you could get one?
No. This isn't Benchwarmers. I don't have an IM12 paper.
All right, Duran swings through that 71-mile-an-hour pitch for strike 2. So bases loaded, full count, 2 outs. Carson Duran, do you want a moment to cement player of the game? This could be it right here. What does he do? Briller fires. Ball 4, 4 straight walks, and there is run number 4 for Nelson Baseball School as Durant gingerly makes his way down to first base. So now Andrew Lee still with the bases loaded and 2 outs. 3rd time on base for Duran today. So Andrew Lee, towel in his back pocket, steps in. That is in play. Second base has it, flips to short. That will bring it into the inning, but Nelson Baseball School has added 1. They lead 4-2, and we're moving on to the bottom of the 5th inning. We'll be back with more.
Backed by over 100 years of engine design and manufacturing and a highly skilled dealer network. Yanmar. Yanmar Tractors. Quality. Hardworking. Reliability. Leave no job unfinished. Yanmar. Visit us at www.yanmartractor.com or see your local dealer for details.
At IHG's Holiday Inn Express, you can take on Miami, Mexico City, or Minneapolis. Fuel up with free hot breakfast, all while earning points for free nights with IHG One Rewards. Guest how you guessed at IHG Hotels and Resorts.
First one I picked up, I just liked it the best. And like I said, I tried a lot of different companies, a lot of different models, and I fell in love with Old Hickory for sure.
We are back. Cory McCartney, Jack McCartney with you. 4-2 lead for Nelson Baseball School. We're here in the bottom of the 5th inning as we set in pool play action from the 14U division of March Madness, our version of March Madness from the LakePoint Sports Baseball Village. Carson Duran is back out. 5th inning of work for the big Harrison right-hander. I have a feeling as we look towards the future of Harrison Hoyas baseball that Carson Duran is a name that we're probably going to remember here in coming years.
Well, they're also a very young team. They do have some older guys who are kind of the leadership right now, but they do have a younger team. I'm blanking on her name right now, but in the 27 class they have the 4th overall player in prep baseball Georgia, the 44th player in the 44th player in the nation. Breck Hemphill. That's his name. Breck Hemphill, a standout from GDC. Ian and Huddy had him as one of the peach players for that week.
Yeah, and Breck's got a brother, Jude Hemphill, who's also a 2029 middle infielder, and he's the 42nd ranked player in Georgia, 9th ranked shortstop. So, yeah, the Harrison team, I think, is positioning themselves as some young guys to be a force. That one is into the glove of the center fielder. Nice job on the run with the shoestring catch. One down.
I mean, they do have a couple older guys.
They have old guys.
A lot of their guys are juniors or sophomores.
Yeah.
They only have one freshman on their roster right now.
That was Aiden Baez, by the way, who just flied out. Now here comes big Patrick Melton. This is like an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman meeting up here in this meeting between Durand and Melton.
I think Melton would probably be the defensive line.
6'2", 205 pounds. Yeah, he's an offensive tackle trying to meet the oncoming rusher. And right now, edge goes to, well, it's a stalemate. It's 1-1. Melton was at the Rising Stars ID in Raleigh earlier this month. So if you pay attention to the way things kind of work in the trajectory of a player's prep baseball existence, you get on the kind of the radar here through these Rising Stars IDs, and then you kind of work your way to get into the junior future games picture, and then from there, obviously, super sophomore games into the future games. So that is the path that Patrick Melton's trying to pave here, as he's again appeared at Rising Stars ID earlier this month in Raleigh. And he's got a 2-1 count now to Durand. Goes with the changeup, 66 miles an hour, and count's now going to be 2-2. We're down to about 18 minutes, so I think my odds of us playing a full 7 have gone out the window.
Yeah.
But we probably get one more inning in. We'll see how long this inning goes for Coastal at the plate, but in all likelihood, them being the home team, we probably get one more inning of play. So we're to a crucial part in the lineup as well for Coastal Terror Squad. Right in the middle of the order right now. Can they capitalize with the big guy at the plate, one down?
Well, we talked about, March Madness. There is 8 games today, and then there will be 8 more games tomorrow. The first game today is at 12:10. It's St. Louis versus Michigan. So, I mean, St. Louis ended up, not many people around here are going to like hearing this, but
the Billikens.
The Billikens whooped the Bulldogs.
They sure did.
102-77.
Ball gets away. That's going to be ball 4, though. So 2 runners on now as Melton makes his way down to first base. And opportunity now knocks for Coastal Terror Squad. Can Jackson Coakley answer? The Chapin High School 2030, South Carolina. This is his 12th prep baseball event. No, 10th. Charlie Briller above him on their roster is in number 12. But Coakley shows bunt, gets it down, and that goes foul.
Well, this Coastal Terror Squad team actually won a tournament last fall.
Yep.
Coakley was a part of that team. A lot of their guys actually aren't a part of that team anymore, aren't part of this team anymore. But that they were a
terror?
A terror to all the other players they faced. They weren't really, not a lot of these guys are pretty big, but they had a lot of team chemistry. They were, you hear at GDC, North Cobb Christian was turning into a festival in their dugout with the screaming and chanting, and a lot of guys. It helps them hype up and kind of make it where they can flip any game however they want, depending on how loud they are.
Bringing that energy, right? That energy can change everything, yeah. Next pitch is number 63 for Durand. think if you're Nelson, you're hoping he can somehow get you out of this inning. That one is skied. It's on its way into center field. Burkhart has it for out number 2. Runners will retreat. Kind of feel like if he had gotten on, maybe you start rethinking your plan. But Durand, opportunity to get out of this inning now. He's got 63 pitches. And he'll now face off against Knox Tollison. Tollison is 0 for 1, but in his last AB, that resulted in an error for Nelson, ended up being a crucial error. Tollison, half swing, that goes down the third base side foul. I feel like if Durand gets out of this inning with less than 70 pitches, maybe he gets a chance to try to close this thing out in the 6th. Check swing, and that's strike number 2. Did he put his hand up? It looked like he put his hand up for a strike, but the scoreboard now says 1-1. It looked as though home plate umpire put his hand fist up. Well, that one is in fact a ball. We'll see how many fingers he holds up. Just had a bug go right across our camera. Nature is always in play here at LakePoint Sports. The ospreys and the light towers, the bugs, many a bird. Another miss. And the count is 3-1, so he did in fact say he did not go on that check swing. Durand in danger of walking the bases loaded. Gonna get some help, put the ball in play, save Nelson. Strike in the outside corner. Count is now full. Nice pitch by Durand. Nice rebound after a couple misses. So we are all full in this matchup between Tollison and Durand. 68 pitches now for Durand. He's got runners at first and second. This is when the pulse meter starts pumping up a little bit. Swing, miss, strikeout. Carson Durand stepping up big time. Who's the man? Carson Durand right now. Nelson up 4-2. We'll be back. We're moving on to the 6th inning from LakePoint Sports.
This is our brand. It's chips. Subs, of course. Soda. This. That. Sweets. Smiling faces. Green. More green. Ice cream. But first, veggies. How about a meal for one? Or hummus is fun. Time for cleanup? Done. All this goodness. Your life, your brand. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
At IHG's Holiday Inn Express, you can take on Miami, Mexico City, or Minneapolis. Fuel up with free hot breakfast, all while earning points for free nights with IHG One Rewards. Guest how you guessed at IHG Hotels and Resorts.
Backed by over 100 years of engine design and manufacturing and a highly skilled dealer network. Yanmar. Yanmar Tractors. Quality. Hardworking. Reliability. Leave no job unfinished. Yanmar. Visit us at www.yanmartractor.com or see your local dealer for details.
Caleb Schwartz starting things off for Nelson Baseball School as we move along to the top of the 6th inning, what figures to be our last inning. We've got about 10 minutes of gameplay left on the clock. Coastal, of course, being the home team, are going to get an opportunity to have their say in how this plays out in the bottom of this inning. But Schwartz and Nelson Baseball School eyeing some insurance here in the 6th inning. Get another look at Charlie Briller, Sequoia 2030, coming on in relief for Coastal Terror Squad. Gets a strike in the outside corner. We've seen that call go pitcher's way a few times in the last inning. Shorts to be followed by Gavin Knox. Oh, bad miss by Briller, but count will be 1-2 now. Oh, defensive swing on what would have been a ball, and that goes down on strikes. It's going to be a moment that you know that Schwartz is going to want back, so now 1 down for Gavin Knox. It's almost like he was just fighting for his life on that inside pitch and maybe didn't intend on swinging in it, but he did, and strikeout for Briller. It'll be his 3rd. So Knox, the Harrison 2030 now steps in.
You and I talked about the McEachern and all those guys.
Yep.
Powell for Bartow. Speaking of that McEachern team, he grounds out to the first baseman. McEachern's Chubb Jones Jr. Just decommitted from Clemson and flipped to Alabama previously this week. Alabama, though, has a guy named Tyler Fay who played in the 2021 Prep Baseball Cup and absolutely went electric last night. He had a no-hitter. It was the first no-hitter in Alabama's first solo no-hitter in Alabama history since 1942.
Wow.
What were you doing back in 1942?
Not existing.
But talking about big performances in PBR Cup, the Pirates organization, Seth Hernandez, the 6th overall pick in the 2025 draft.
Yep. Prep Baseball American.
Yep. Prep Baseball, 2-time Prep Baseball American, right?
Yes.
And absolutely threw the ball insanely yesterday. Faced Max Clark and decided to throw 102.4 miles an hour.
Wow.
Absolutely wild.
Big former Prep Baseball star moment there between Max Clark and Seth Hernandez, guys who were fixtures. Shooter Hunt and I spent a lot of time talking about those two on Coffee and Curveball episodes over the years. 2-2 count now to Knox. Goes down on strikes, make it strikeout number 4 for Briller. Pumps his fist as he goes off the mound. 4-2 is the lead for Nelson Baseball School. Very quick inning defensively for Coastal Terror Squad, but only about 6 minutes left on the clock. Can Coastal find a response here in the bottom of the 6th? We'll be back. You're watching March Madness.
This is our brand. It's chips. Subs, of course. Soda. This. That. Sweets. Smiling faces. Green. More green. Ice cream. But first, veggies. How about a meal for one? Or hummus is fun. Time for cleanup? Done. All this goodness. Your life, your brand. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Does a night come to the rescue for Coastal Terror Squad here in the bottom of the 6th inning? Ethan Knight is going to step to the plate and try to be exactly that as he'll lead things off. Knight to be followed by Shue and then McGlure. Final opportunities here for Coastal Terror Squad. And what a gigantic response. And we saw this exact thing happen a week ago with 6-4-3 Tigers. We saw them get run ruled in the previous game in the 8 a.m. window. Come back in our 10 a.m. spot, and you wonder, how does that team respond? Well, Nelson Baseball School lost 15-0 to the Memphis Tigers. They come out in this second game, and largely behind the presence of Carson Durant, who's back on the mound for his 6th inning of work. They have largely held this Coastal Terror squad team at bay and lead 4-2 going in the bottom of the 6th. So it says a lot about the resolve of this team, the way that they've come out here after a run rule defeat to start their day.
I mean, when it comes to playing games back-to-back, you can't ever remember what happened in the first game.
That's true.
If you remember what happened
Short
in the first
memory.
game, if you absolutely obliterated the team in the first game, you're gonna think, oh wow, we're so good, and then you're gonna get showed off in the second game. So you have to imagine each game's it's a new day. Yes, it is, and so you're gonna have to just be a goldfish.
That's right, be a goldfish. Well, 2-0 the count now for Durand. In his 5 innings thus far, he's allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. A gigantic strikeout in the 5th inning with a full count, runners at first and second, was 1 pitch away from walking, the bases loaded. And he was able to shut Coastal Terror squad down in strand 2. He's thrown 72 pitches. Can he finish this thing off and get him a complete game win? 3-0 count now tonight. And he misses glove side and issues a leadoff walk tonight. And that may be the day for Carson Durant. Let's see. 73 pitches. Does he give up the ball, or is he going to stay in this game and try to get Nelson the victory?
I mean, if you're Nelson, you probably got to leave him in, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're not playing another game today, right? And their hopes of making bracket rely on them getting this victory. So I think going any deeper into their pitching staff is probably the one thing you don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Julian Henson, he said it, right? Would you rather go 3 innings with 5 strikeouts, or would you rather go 6 innings with 3 strikeouts? And right now, he's 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts.
Whatever coach just told him it worked. Counts now 0-1 here to Shu. One is skied foul. Isaac Shu, 2030, out of Mount Pleasant High School, North Carolina. Wow Factor National player primarily. He was a junior feature gamer this past summer for North Carolina. He's got an 0-2 count now in this matchup. Durant, runner taken off for second. The throw is going to bounce in front of the second baseman and have a runner now in scoring position.
Well, I mean, we always talk about how different it is for the outfielders when it gets to a larger field. Well, we never really talk about
the dimensions of the,
because it's now, instead of it being,
5480,
yeah, now it's.
Oh, that's roped. Ian Shu puts that into left field. That's going to be down for a base hit. Runner taken off from third on his way home, cut off by the shortstop. A run for Coastal Terror squad, and it's now a 1-run game as Ian Shu comes through with the RBI single.
That was an immaculate hit. I mean, that's a great job for the base runner. I mean, he realized what it could be and ended up, using the legs to try to get there. But that was an amazing hit, and he did exactly what he needed to do right there.
So now it'll be Jacob McGlure. Nobody out here in the 6th inning. That was 82.9 off the bat of Shu for that RBI single.
There's that buzzer again.
Yeah, it shows bunt, unable to get it down. Durant just eyeing outs here. This team clinging now to a 1-run lead. And that's in for another strike. Durant's heart's got to be beating a million miles a second right now. Third base has it, gets away from him, cannot make a play. Runners will now be at first and second as McGlure reaches. Even if he gets that ball to stop in front of him, not sure he makes that throw in time to first. So now runners at first and second as McGlure reaches, and we're to the top of the order now. Coastal Terror squad, 2 on and nobody out. Jacob Sweet Jr., their leadoff hitter, steps in. Things getting dicey here for Durand and Nelson Baseball School. That one is skied back foul.
I mean, let's see if he can make some magic, because that could be kind of sweet.
There you go. Jacob Sweet Jr., Summit, Tennessee 2030, Tennessee preseason All-State. He puts that in play, short has it, cannot make a play. Defensively, 2 miscues from Nelson Baseball School have the bases loaded with nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th inning, and things getting especially dicey now for Carson Durand and Nelson Baseball School.
I mean, we've officially hit under the time limit.
Yeah, it's
now let's see if Coastal can, create some runs here and try to walk it off, or see if NBS can get on the right foot here and not create errors. I mean, he's at 83 pitches right now.
This is Titus Russell at the plate for Coastal Terror squad. Miss makes it 1-1. Russell is 0 for 1. That's in play. Into the glove of Burkhart. Runner takes off. We've got a tie ball game. 4-4 now as Titus Russell comes through with the sac fly RBI, and it's now 4-4.
I mean, it's, 1 out, runner on second now. As the batter, you can't strike out here, because you have to try to get the ball out in order to get the runner to advance to third to try to create the final run here.
Woods Fessmeyer out of Tennessee 2030. Could be a hero moment for Fessmeyer as he tries to walk it off. 85 pitches for Durand. Steps off, runner goes back to second.
I mean, when you're the middle infielders right there, I don't even think they're thinking about the third out right now.
Yeah, it'd be a dicey situation. The only thing is you don't have a runner at third, so at least you wouldn't be giving up the winning run.
Yeah.
Fessmeyer, first pitch, swinging 86.4 off his bat. That is deep, deep, deep. Gets in between left fielder and center fielder. Fessmeyer taking off for second. He's got himself a walk-off RBI double, and just like that, Coastal Terror squad comes through and has themselves up 5-4 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And that is ball game, and Woods Fessmeyer goes hero mode, the 2030 out of Tennessee, with an RBI double, and Coastal Terror squad scores 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning to get themselves the walk-off victory. Absolute magic there from Coastal Terror squad, and got to give your hats off to Nelson Baseball School the way they fought back, but Coastal Terror squad comes through with the RBI in the bottom of the 6th to get the win off the bat of Woods Fessmeyer. We'll be back with more from LakePoint Sports. You're watching March Madness.
Hey, this is Dominic Rossi, LakePoint athlete, and today I'm testing out the new Rawlings Cloud AI. All right, let's do it. There we go. Real whippy. It's a good oppo piece. Oh yeah. Huge sweet spot. Oh, this bat looks sick. It's one of the better looking bats I've seen. And neon green and blue with the grip tape matching. top up gap. This bat's light. It's one of the lighter bats I've swung for sure. No, I'm good with that. Just got done taking a couple swings with the Rawlings Cloud AI. It's one of the more balanced one pieces, and I usually wasn't a fan of one pieces until now, but really like this bat. So the balance on this bat's definitely not end loaded. It's really balanced. It's really light in my hands, and it actually has for one piece, it actually has a pretty big sweet spot. It almost feels like the Icon sweet spot, but it's a lot lighter, so I like that. I've barreled up a few in the cage and in the games, and it just comes off very easily, like effortless pop from this bat. The design on this bat's pretty cool. Has like 2 different shades of green with the light blue letters, and then I got the light blue grip tape too, so I think this bat looks pretty sick. Definitely one of the more colorful bats, but I like that, so.
What's up guys, Julian here with LakePoint Sports, and today we're trying out the new Cloud AI. Oh, first swing too? That's the best swing of the day by far. It's somewhat light and it's balanced. Light but medium, like it feels medium in the hands, but it swings super light. I actually really like this. Ooh, that was good. That was pieced. Even off the end too. It still seems nice because I caught that off the end. Oh. Man, I'm actually a fan of this. Oh. Barrel actually feels nice. Oh, that's a bomb. Oh, that's the best swing of the day. Dude, that felt money off the barrel too. That's a bomb. Dude, that's touched. What's up guys, just finished out here with the Cloud AI. First thoughts here is it's a super balanced bat. I mean, for me as a guy that likes light swing weighting bats, I mean, it flows right out of the hand and swings super light. Pop, I mean, if you get it 100% there, it's gonna go a really long way. I mean, you can see in the video, I got a couple there that probably leave the yard. And I mean, really looking at this thing, I mean, you love the bright colors. I mean, it's definitely something. I mean, I really enjoy the colors here. And then it is effortless when you swing it off the bat. I mean, I don't have to try for anything. It just comes off my shoulder and the barrel goes to the baseball. And overall performance, I mean, this is the type of bat I would use in a game. I mean, light, big barrel, I mean, you name it, I want it on this bat, and especially the flashy colors. And I mean, that's my official review.
I'm here with Texas commit Lee Holt, the 3rd ranked catcher in the Peach State. Lee, man, thank you for the time.
Sir, thank you.
In your first game at Denmark, you go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a home run. How does that set the tone for the season, and how do you try to keep up the great job you did in the first game?
Yeah, I think it sets the tone very well. I think it sets a good season starter. It's obviously good to hit a home run the first game and go out there and catch really well too and get a win as well. So I think it sets up just a year of success and just keep going out there and just grinding.
In July, during the future games, you had the 2nd hardest exit velo in the state and the 4th highest in the nation. How in those big situations like that, how do you stay calm, and how do you not fold under the impact of this is a huge moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been really good at showcases, and they're fun. So I kind of go out there and just showcasing what I've done in the cage every day and kind of be able to put on like a bigger stage. So I think it's more of like a fun thing out there.
One of the biggest parts of your game is obviously your power, as I just talked about. Do you feel like that is the biggest part of your game, or do you think it's some other aspect of what you can do really well?
I think my hit tool is probably one of my biggest ones. I think power definitely helps the most, and just getting like, obviously if I put the bat on the ball, like hitting it really hard is going to help me get more hits and everything. I think my defense is easily up there, like in the same category of my strengths.
In 2025, you had the hardest thrown ball by a catcher at 83 miles an hour.
Yeah.
What have you done defensively to keep your game up defensively as well as it is offensively?
Yeah, I think it's just working the same amount of time and just like putting the same amount of time in there, because defense matters equally as much as the hitting as well.
Lee, man, thanks for the time.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's it.
Welcome in, Cory McCartney, and now joined by our player of the game from Coastal Terror Squad's win over Nelson Baseball School in the March Madness, Woods Festmeyer. Woods, walk-off fashion, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys go into that last half an inning trailing 4-2. Tell me about what was the vibe like in the dugout? I know you guys know what this lineup's capable of. What was the mentality? What were you guys thinking in that moment?
We were just thinking pretty much in the gap. We got to find a barrel. We got to get on base. A walk's a walk, a hit's a hit. I mean, like, we just got to find a barrel.
So take me inside that AB. First pitch you see, drive that into left center. You're off and running, RBI double. What were you specifically looking for when you stepped in?
I was sitting fastball probably away through. I was getting pitched away the whole game, and I just knew I had backside barrel somewhere in the gap. It worked.
Yeah, obviously a huge moment for you there.
Yeah.
You guys saw a pitcher in Carson Durant who logged the entire game there for Nelson Baseball School. You know that the pitches and the innings are starting to build for him. Does that change what you guys expect from a pitcher at that point in the game?
I mean, we know his pitches. I mean, he's going to pitch every hitter different, and you just got to be ready for what he's going to throw you. I mean, it's not that hard, but yeah.
When you guys watch them lose the game before 15-0, they put up a fight throughout this one. How do you guys go into a game thinking? Are you expecting a team's best, or do you guys kind of think, man, they just lost 15-0? What are we going to get?
That's what probably everybody was thinking, because we played them 2 weeks ago, and that's what happened with us. We beat them pretty bad, and we were just lazy the first couple innings, and those last couple innings we were like, we need to win this.
Tell me what it says about this Coastal Terror Squad team, the way you guys came together and get out of here with a walk-off victory.
It was all we had to play together. We had to work together. We had to get barrels together. Like we worked as a team those last couple innings, and that's what baseball should be like.
And you look good. I love the hats and
yes,
it's a good look. All right, Woods, man, congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're gonna take a quick break in studio. We'll be back with more and signing off from our March Madness when we return.
What's going on? I'm Austin Tambora. I'm a LakePoint athlete, and we're here to take a few swings with the new Rawlings Icon. Oh yeah, jumpy. It's kind of got a good big sweet spot. It looks inloaded, but it's really not. Oh yeah, that sweet spot's huge. Very whippy. Really just feels like a trampoline, not gonna lie. Oh yeah. That just jumps. Huge sweet spot. I kind of caught that off the end too. Oh yeah, that's easily the best bat I've ever saw. Yeah, I caught that off the end and I didn't feel anything in my hands. Oh yeah. See ball? Oh yeah, that was perfect. All right, we just got done swinging. Feels like a trampoline, kind of feels like a drop five. It really jumps off the bat. The swing weight of it really looks like an inloaded bat, but it's really whippy, and it really doesn't feel that inloaded. In fact, I can get to the inside pitch if I'm sitting out on an outside pitch. It really does feel like a drop five because I would catch one off the end, and it feels the exact same on hanging at the barrel, same on the inside. The big back spins really well. The look of it's pretty sick. The teal, all this stuff on the back, feels really good. The grip, it was overall just a really, really good bat.
This is our brand. It's chips. Subs, of course. Soda. This. That. Sweets. Smiling faces. Green. More green. Ice cream. But first, veggies. How about a meal for one? Or hummus is fun. Time for cleanup? Done. All this goodness. Your life, your brand. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
At IHG's Holiday Inn Express, you can take on Miami, Mexico City, or Minneapolis. Fuel up with free hot breakfast, all while earning points for free nights with IHG One Rewards. Guest how you guessed at IHG Hotels and Resorts.
Backed by over 100 years of engine design and manufacturing and a highly skilled dealer network. Yanmar. Yanmar Tractors. Quality. Hardworking. Reliability. Leave no job unfinished. Yanmar. Visit us at www.yanmartractor.com or see your local dealer for details.
And this one belongs to Coastal Terror Squad. Comeback fashion. Woods Festmeyer, who you just saw our player of the game interview with, comes through. They are 5-4 winners over Nelson Baseball School. Now they got a matchup with Julian Henson's Memphis Tigers. If you joined us earlier in the broadcast and saw it, Julian. If you didn't, go back and watch. That's some really great insight from a guy who has known this game across every single level, from the travel game all the way as a college recruiter and now coaching high-level travel baseball, also participating as a coach in Prep Baseball Tennessee's teams for the future game. So a lot to glean from what we got from Julian today. Pool play continues throughout the day today. Bracket play for the top 12 overall teams starting at 8 a.m. on Sunday. The title game slated for 6 p.m. If you cannot make it out to the Baseball Village, you can find all those games live and on demand with LakePoint Live, powered by Aware TV and Pixel Eye. We'll be back next week for coverage of the first week of the spring break experience. We'll see some high school baseball here on our field, so you won't want to miss that. Next weekend is the Prep Baseball Invitational. Of course, we'll be back for that as well. Make sure you're following LakePoint Sports on all of our social media channels for tune-in information. Until next time, for Julian Henson and Jack McCartney, I'm Cory McCartney, and for now, we're signing off from LakePoint Sports.